66, discussion of possible action, approve retaining 2 vehicles from the county's fleet before going to auction for the Mohave County Treasurer and Mohave County Recorder. Supervisor Borelli.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair and members. It came to my attention that these 2 elected officials, need a county vehicle, so they're not using their own personal vehicle. And I was wondering if there's an option that we could use vehicles that are going to be auctioned off. If we can just shift those over to them in their department, and I believe that both their budgets will actually support maintenance and of this. So I'm just looking for options to basically reutilize or repurpose vehicles instead of them going to auction, that they can be shifted over to those departments.
Thank you for that. I'd open it up to the board or county manager or Supervisor Gould. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I might be wrong, but I believe that we get rid of these vehicles for a reason. And I believe the reason is they're worn out and they have increased maintenance costs. So I don't know that this is really the proper way to do this. This is kind of just a 2-step to getting them new cars in the near future. And if we're going to do that, you need to amend the rules on who can have a car. Because the ordinance spells out who's available, who actually has the ability to have a car. Thank you.
I have a question for either yourself, Manager Elters, or perhaps Steve. I know that the county has a policy. Is it the last I remember seeing the fleet policy was it was on maybe a 5 or 6 year rotating basis, and then if a vehicle hit a certain number of service miles, then it would be retired and replaced. Can somebody let us know what the vehicles that we're talking about right now? I mean, what are the parameters that we're working under right now?
We do have a policy, Mr. Chairman and board members. The policy is for really the purpose of ensuring that county vehicles are safe to drive and optimized maintenance costs. So it's 100,000 or 120,000, depending on the nature of the vehicle. We turn it over and then we go with a newer vehicle, because then again, it's a matter of safety and cost of maintenance. Steve can give you the total breakdown or the details. Retaining those in the fleet would be outside of the guidance that of the policy that the board approved, and it would perhaps undermine the liability aspect of those vehicles. Again, the policy is in place for a reason. We not to rehash what was discussed not long ago, probably few board meetings ago when this request came up. The request came through. Staff provided information to you, the board, when you made a decision, and that decision was there are pool vehicles available for use as needed by each department, as long as the use cost falls well below what it would cost to assign a vehicle. If and when the use of each of those departments or any other department rises to the point that it justifies assigning a vehicle, a newer vehicle that meets the policy that the board approved would be assigned at that time. So I don't really recommend retaining these vehicles and handing them to these departments or any other departments, because we would be violating our own policy, the policy that the board has approved. If there's a need and the board feels like it does justify, we would do what Supervisor Gould alluded to. We would have to change the allocation of those vehicle assignments to ensure that new assignments are approved by the board, and then we would make we would assign vehicles that meet the requirements of the policy going forward.
Further discussion, Supervisor Martin?
So Sam, if I understand what you're saying is we currently have a policy in place that we don't keep these cars. And also, my question is there any stipulation anywhere in our regulations that says the treasurer and the recorder, whoever, are assigned a car?
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Martin, you asked a two-part question. The answer to the first part of the question is yes, we do have a policy, and again, it states when we turn vehicles over, and if we were to retain these vehicles and assign them to the departments, we would have two-tier system. We would be assigning vehicles to these departments that we're saying should be disposed of. As far as any constraints or limitation, there really isn't any. It's up to the board. The board has in the past considered and approved specific assignments that are part of what we do today. The board can expand this list. When asked in the past, staff's response has been the list that is in place currently is based on use and merit. So these two departments and other departments with perhaps similar need have not warranted or justified that assignment. And staff has said to the board, we will meet the need of these two departments and any others through the motor pool. And in the future, when, based on the cost, again, cost justification, when the use merit a special assignment, we would come to the board, we would present it, the board would approve it, and then we would proceed with it.
So has there ever been a position where one of these departments has needed a fleet vehicle and one was not available? Anybody?
Mr. Chairman, Supervisors, I think I'm going to defer to Steve on that. I'm not aware what Steve and the motor pool department has done is to staff or to provide adequate vehicles to meet the need. Is there a situation where once a vehicle was not available? I honestly don't know of one, but I'm going to turn it over to Steve.
Director Latosky, can you answer that question for me?
Yes, Chairman Lingenfelter, members of the board, there has not been a case to my knowledge that of the number of vehicles we have in our daily carpool, motor pool, car rental fleet, that a car was not available. There may have been an instance maybe where a particular type of car, like a passenger sedan, was not available, but we would have to make like an SUV available. But we have a good number of rental car vehicles available in our motor pool fleet, and there's always a vehicle available.
So right now, what is the current GSA approved reimbursement rate per mile? Is it 70 cents?
I think it's 70 cents.
70 cents. So in my mind, you take all of the folks during a fiscal year that in your department that need to travel for official county business, and you log all those miles together, then you times that by 70 cents. That's going to give you a figure, right? So you take that figure and you compare it to how much it would take, how much it would cost the county as an organization to provide a vehicle with maintenance and all those things over a 5-year period or whatever, and whichever cost is lower to the organization, that would seem logical to me. Do we have any data as far as the mileage from all of the staff members in these departments that need to travel for official county business during a year? Do we have any of that data to make those calculations right now?
Mr. Chairman, board members.
I'm just trying to make sense of this in my head.
Oh, sure. I would like to have Luke Morian, our Chief Financial Officer, jump in. I don't know that we have it for every department, but we have looked at it for these two specific departments that are on the agenda today, because we've had this discussion before, and I know Luke has those numbers. Luke, would you jump in and provide answers to the question from Chairman Lingenfelter, please?
Certainly, County Manager. Chairman Lingenfelter, board members, I did look at the Recorder's Department specifically. They incurred more miles than the Treasurer's Department. Last year, so fiscal 2025, looking at the Recorder and the voter registration divisions, we have about 5,400 miles, give or take, and that is based on the reimbursement claims for use of personal vehicles, as well as what I can see for travel claims that use a motor pool vehicle. And so when you total up the mileage reimbursements for use of personal vehicles, as well as the motor pool charges for when the department utilized a motor pool vehicle, you have about $4,500 in charges altogether. When we look at what's being proposed today, and speaking with Director Latowski, there would be a $150 a month charge, and that is essentially to account for depreciation on the vehicles. These vehicles that were going to be sent to auction, as has been discussed, they're past the optimal useful service life. But Public Works does feel that if the department is paying the full cost of repairs, maintenance, fuel, etc., then that $150 monthly fee covers the depreciation on the vehicle, and they likely would last another 2 years or so before they become unreliable. But when we look at the overall cost, the estimate of what those repair and fuel costs would be on an annual basis, in addition to the $150 a month, which is $1,800 a year, and then based on the miles that the Recorder was driving, if FY26 has similar miles, this would cost about $1,000 more. And so not exactly the most cost-effective solution. It's certainly less expensive than a full-on normal assigned vehicle. The county doesn't typically assign vehicles to departments unless they're incurring at least 12,000 miles of driving each year. That's the point where it generally becomes more cost-effective to provide a assigned vehicle that is, the department pays the fees that Public Works has come up with to cover the full cost of all the maintenance and everything like that.
So 12,000 miles is the magic number?
That is typically the magic number. What's being proposed today is a little bit different because it's an extended service vehicle, and so it's not subject to the operation and maintenance fixed rate. It just has a reduced replacement use fee of $150 a month or $1,800 a year, and then the department would be on the hook to pay out of the department's budget any fuel costs, any repair charges, any maintenance, anything like that would come out of the department's budget on an actual cost basis, rather than the established monthly fee that Public Works has established.
Thank you. Additional discussion?
I have a
Mr.
question for Luke. Luke, in your opinion, what is being proposed today, is that cost effective for the county?
Chairman Lingenfelter, Supervisor Martin, as I stated, for the Recorder's office, if they incur similar mileage in FY26 as to what they incurred in fiscal 25, which is about 5,500 miles, then it would end up costing the county about $1,000 more to proceed with what is being proposed today.
Okay, and this is for the recorder. What about the treasurer?
Chairman Lingenfelter, Supervisor Martin, I did not do a deep dive on the treasurer's mileage, but as I said, the recorder's office certainly incurs more miles on an annual basis than the treasurer because of the nature of their business, especially when there's elections occurring during the year. The voter registration sees need to drive to early voting sites and such for those purposes. So it likely would be even less cost effective for the treasurer's office because of the lower mileage.
Okay, thank you.
Manager Alters, you want to make a comment?
I
I'm
think,
sorry, Supervisor Borelli?
I yield to Supervisor.
Yes, of course.
Well, I'd like to see the recorder come up here and
Sure.
And I understand on the agenda is the questions, maybe is repurposing vehicles going to auction and shifting them around. I understand that part, but that's the actual agenda item. Liddy, do you have the money in your office budget to be able to get a vehicle from the motor pool?
So I have requested, Supervisor Borelli, I've requested the mileage and then how much that would cost from my budget. I haven't received a accurate number or a full number of how much I would need to pay from my budget if this were to happen today. We do budget to do motor pool rentals and mileage reimbursement, but I don't have a full figure of what I would need to pay in regards to getting a vehicle from fleet.
What is your mileage reimbursement rate? I forget.
So 70 cents a mile.
70 cents a mile. My gosh, I was only getting 50 cents a mile at a state. 70 cents a mile. Now, how many times have you had to restrict yourself on going out doing your duties to try to keep the cost down?
Multiple times I attend all my meetings virtually. Typically, I'm the Arizona Recorder Association president. I don't attend any in-person meetings. I also am on the board of directors for ACO and I'm not attending any in-person meetings due to mileage.
Thank you.
Supervisor Gould.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I need a point of clarification here. The item says for the county treasurer and the county recorder. So are these for those two individuals or is it for their offices?
Ms. Borelli.
My intent was for the two elected officials.
Supervisor Lettman, thank you.
A question for Director Morning again. What's the residual value of these cars once they're sold? How much are we going to get for them?
Chairman Lingenfelter, Supervisor Lettman, I would actually need to defer to our Public Works Director on what the actual vehicle values would be, what is typically generated at auction. I don't have those details in front of me.
Chairman Lingenfelter, Supervisor Lettman, unfortunately, I didn't bring the last auction results with me, but memory serves me right. I'm going to put the law enforcement vehicles aside. The vehicles that are assigned to, say, non-law enforcement department usually bring us, it's definitely four figures. It's like $4,000 and $8,000, whether it's a passenger car up to maybe a mid-size SUV.
Mr. Chairman.
Go take a look at them first.
Manager Alters.
Specifically to the point of repurposing that Supervisor Borelli brought up, my concern and what I want to remind the board of is not just the cost and the value of those vehicles, but the fact that we have a policy that says when a vehicle reaches a certain mileage, we dispose of it for liability reason and reliability. And so to say we're going to change that and hand it to these elected or any others and tell them go ahead and drive it on the road for long distances is not something that I think we want to do, in all honesty.
Mr. Chair,
Supervisor Worley.
Well, to that point, now I can understand not repurposing one of the sheriff's vehicles, obviously, because they're beat up like crazy. But we're talking about, a sedan that's got some miles on it. I have a 2018 Chevy Cruze that has 165,000 miles on it, and it's still in great running condition. And we have a great motor pool, and we have annual maintenance and preventive maintenance. I mean, these vehicles are very well maintained. They might have some high mileage on them, but I still think there might be some options in there.
Supervisor Gould?
Since these are for the two elected officials, you still have to amend the policy that states who has the perk of a car. That is spelled out in county ordinance. So you need to take a look at that, and also whether they have the authority to take these cars home, which is spelled out in the ordinance also.
To that point. Understood. That's why I'd like to have this discussion.
I have a point.
Supervisor Lettman.
I agree with Supervisor Gould on that. The way I'd like to see us move on this is if the two elected officials want cars, I think we should put that as an agenda item and allow them to justify the need to be added to the list of approved drivers for cars.
Make a motion that we table this agenda item then.
I'll second that.
We have a motion second, additional discussion. We do have our two electeds. I don't know if either one of you are comfortable with coming up to the podium and just really telling me, like, where's the delta here? Where are we falling through the cracks in your opinion? Because we have the fleet vehicles, we've got the mileage reimbursement for 70 cents a mile. I think that both of your budgets have some, correct me if I'm wrong, mileage and travel accounts. But where are we falling short here?
Well, I'm just going to tell you what my concerns were. First of all, I used my own vehicle because I had campaign funds left over, and I utilized those, saving the county money.
Saying that.
When I ran out of that opportunity, I did go to Fleet, and I discussed this with Manager Elters. All that they offered me was a van or a truck. So, you're traveling to Colorado City in a van on a freeway. I'm already, struggling with that. I don't have experience with the van. 3 times it kind of got rough for me at Fleet because I kept requesting a smaller car and they said, that's all we have. So, like I said, discussed it with Manager Elters. That's not an option for me. So again, I'm back at using my personal vehicle and claiming mileage. Another thing that we do, the assessor and the recorder and I, we ride together. We often, share just to keep our own personal vehicles as well, just to keep the costs down. I certainly am not trying to do anything underhanded. I just want what's fair. You're supervisors of a district. And the 3 of us, our district is the entire county. And I certainly would be able to service it better if I had a vehicle to use. And I would appreciate it.
What are your opinion on this, on what's on the agenda right now? I don't know what the mileage would be. I know that some cars can still operate safely at high mileage. I'm not disputing that. But would you feel comfortable in being in a vehicle? Let's say you have to go somewhere and there's a really remote stretch in between point A and point B. Are you going to feel comfortable with going into a vehicle that's 120,000 miles or more?
Well, it wouldn't be the best situation, but I would have it checked out prior to going and, go from there. Just this last trip that I just came from for 4th of July to Colorado City, I used my personal vehicle and it had a problem and it's only got 40,000 miles on it. So where I had to stop and get repaired. So that's kind of a funny question. I certainly would appreciate the vehicle. I would get it checked out before we went. If that's the best we can do, that's the best we can do. I just wanted to let you know that the numbers that Luke didn't even give numbers for me because they're so low, but they weren't recorded because of all those reasons. I used my personal vehicle. I didn't ask for mileage reimbursement, and we rode together. So, Lydia, do you have some things to add?
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Lincolnfelter, for the opportunity. I have done a little bit of my own research in regards to individual budgets and other departments in the county. With 17 departments that are issued about 75 assigned vehicles, there are 6 of them that don't routinely meet their 6,000 mileage requirement. So I understand having to prove myself and have that mileage requirement, but once a vehicle is assigned, it seems as though it's never gone back and reviewed. So vehicles don't meet the mileage, but they continue to be able to keep that vehicle assigned to their department. For travel reimbursement, I have 2 full departments budgeted separately, and I budget travel reimbursement, that's hotel, meals, mileage, about $19,000 for 2026. In regards to the Board of Supervisors districts, all 5 of them, there is about a $14,000 difference there in regards to what everyone else has budgeted for their travel versus what I have for my 2 departments that does hold about 20 staff members. So knowing that I do service all of Mohave County, needing to get in a vehicle and drive somewhere to attend something or, be in person for things, I think is where the checkout from motor pool is difficult. You need to request that in a timely manner. Also, their fees have changed on April 1st of this year. If you check on a vehicle at 8 a.m. in the morning, you don't return it by 8 a.m. the next day, you're charged a $20 late fee because you have had it longer than the 24-hour period. So I just feel that oftentimes when we get into the IS charges and things like that, we're really just robbing Peter to pay Paul. Other departments are getting more funding from other departments for their services. And truly it all just comes from general fund from our taxpayers. Also in regards to elected officials being assigned vehicles, I think once an elected official is assigned a vehicle, it continues to stay in that position. And once someone else is elected, they just get handed the key over. So I'm certainly, not here to always say like I would just like it to be fair, but I think as all of us are elected officials, we can all respect each other, but to have fairness across the board of what every elected official is receiving. And in regards to your question, sorry, if there was a vehicle that had 120,000 miles, I check my own fuel on my own personal vehicle that has over 150,000 miles on it, so I'm not concerned about that, and I could certainly change a tire if I had to.
Sure. Not casting any shade on fellow elected officials, but you have to also, I think, look at job duties between all elected officials. There's a lot. I don't just get the privilege of, or not the privilege, but I don't just deal with election issues. I get all sorts of stuff every single day from everywhere in District 1, which is like half the whole county. So I empathize with you, though. I definitely do, because I have to drive a lot. Anybody else have anything?
Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Gould.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm concerned what official duties were going on the 4th of July in Colorado City.
I know many elected officials attend Colorado City. I didn't this year, but
Yes, we go up there every 4th of July. We have a booth, usually recorder, assessor, and myself, and we answer questions. We sign people up. We brought Lydia's literature, and we're signing them up to vote. We just answer questions. It's an opportunity to do that, so we take it.
Interesting. Thank you.
Treasurer's office doesn't have a satellite office down there, or up
Nope.
there, right?
Although they'd like one.
Yeah.
Even Chairman Lingenfelter was there as well, because that's part of his district.
I have a comment.
Supervisor Levin.
I wanted to compliment Recorder Durst on your point about the pre-existing car contract. That was good. I'm sympathetic to the need for the car, but I just want to go through the correct process of changing the policy. So I think the idea of the 2 used cars, I'm not sure I support that. But let's reexamine and see if you qualify, if it's appropriate per all 5 of us to put you on the list.
Any additional discussion, or
We already voted that?
And we've tabled, I think we have a
do we
motion.
table it?
Yeah, there's a
You
motion.
you put a motion in a second, but I don't have a final vote.
Yeah,
Table.
to table it, right?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. So we'll vote on tabling it, I guess. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I just appear to have it so ordered. Thank you.